Good morning, West in the world. Welcome to your review video for Thursday, November the 6th. We just finished class moments ago, and so we'll get this out hot off the presses here, talking about the new imperialism at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. This morning we were asking questions about why it is that at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th, there is this sudden, accelerated, unprecedented wave of expansion and investment in European empire building in all corners of the world, but chiefly, we said, in Asia. Some of these things we had foreshadowed on Tuesday in our discussions of nationalism and the ways in which this is sort of motivating European rivalry, and we saw today the sort of continuity of that theme, but we added some layers to it in trying to explain what it is that motivates this empire building. So there are things like the motives of social Darwinism and the fundamental ideas of race that tell Europeans, as we said in class, that they can carry out this Western imperial project because they are superior peoples. We saw the motives of a kind of humanitarianism, or what we call the civilizing mission, which, whether expressed in secular forms, as in Kipling's White Man's Burden, or in missionary forms, in David Livingstone's Three C's, we said was an incentive that told Westerners that they must build empires because there were poor, suffering peoples in the world who needed their help. There were, of course, we said, also economic incentives. And this is where we sort of brought things to a close in terms of the pursuit of raw materials like rubber extracted from the Congo Free State, and the idea that they need to develop markets, places where they could sell the excess goods of Western civilization. At sort of either end of this discussion of motivating forces, we looked at examples of how this gets expressed. We saw it played out in the sort of global geopolitical game at the Berlin West Africa Congress, where the powers of Europe gather together and basically carve up the African continent, including the Congo Free State's assignment to Leopold II in Belgium. At the other end, we saw also how ideas about the glories of Western civilization and empire pervade Western advertising and Western public conversations at this time. And we looked at a number of examples of this sort of visual imagery and the way it communicates that Western economic products and Western expansion are about building this sort of glorious global civilization. What we saw also, of course, is that this is deeply racist in many of its underlying assumptions. And so we saw troubling examples of the ways in which Europeans thought that they were improving other people's lives by trying to compel them to be more like themselves. So as you look back over those advertisements and as you're reviewing for your exam, be sure that you can explain that imagery in terms of what it articulates about the underlying values of this Western imperial project. As we move forward, we're going to see the sort of the continuation of these themes, the assumptions of Western superiority, the rivalry amongst states, and how this affects the course of things as we turn towards the 20th century. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next Tuesday.